What's up, Ayana? What's up, Maurice? What's up, Corey? What's up, all you people I don't know yet? How y'all doing? I know some of y'all are. Some of y'all. Kayla, I'm gonna keep the floor right here.
I'm just using
Ayana, you on mute. You gotta unmute yourself.
Can't nobody silence me. Nobody. Kayla, we love you back. Also,
I'm way too
I think that you was at least a 7 on room rating. Okay? I just want to put that out there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Although Corey is fighting you though.
Corey, that's St. Louis though. St. Louis is real competitive. We competitive. I just text her too, like that wall is real nice.
Yes, I gotta see love for black women every day when I come home. It's my little one.
Beautiful.
I think let's give it 30 seconds and we'll go live. For those of you who are waiting in the room, we are going to start very shortly.
Good evening, everyone. Bienvenidos. The call is just about to begin, and thank you for joining us. I'm Nalini Stamp with the Working Families Party. The event will start shortly. ASL and spoken Spanish interpretation will be provided. For ASL interpretation, you can pin Billy Sanders, our ASL interpreter, shout out, at the top of your meeting window. Hover your mouse over Billy's video and click the 3 dots. From the menu, click Pin. To set up Spanish spoken interpretation, please go to the Zoom menu. On a computer, select the globe icon. On a tablet or smartphone, select the More or 3 dots icon. Now select Language Interpretation and choose Spanish in the pop-up. To finish, please give a thumbs up to indicate you hear the interpreter. Spanish interpretation is only be available to Zoom participants. El evento comenzará en breve. Para establecer la interpretación hablada en español, por favor, vaya al menú de Zoom. En una computadora, selecciona el icónico del mapimundi. En una tableta o teléfono inteligente, selecciona el icónico More o los 3 puntos. Luego seleccione Language Interpretation y después Spanish del menú que aparece. Para terminar, por favor, muestra un pulgar al aire para indicar que oye a la intérprete. La interpretación en el español solo estará disponible dentro del Zoom. I'm so pleased to be with all of you here tonight. We have quite a show and amazing people that we love and hold dear and near to our hearts, and we will continue to fight until justice is won. People are joining from all over the country right now. And with no further ado, let me turn it over to the Working Families Party National Director, Maurice Mitchell, to kick us off. Let's go.
Thank you, Nalini. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, family. Hello and good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight as we launch the WFP People's Charter with so many of our allies. I'm Maurice Mitchell, National Director of the Working Families Party. And I want to just take a moment to share where this comes from and how we'll use it to win the future we deserve. Now, you don't need me to tell you this year has been hectic. In March, coronavirus cases were surging. Cities quickly started heading into lockdown and hospitals were overflowing. By April, it was clear that millions were losing their jobs, losing income, losing healthcare. Some people were going hungry or at risk of losing their homes. Now, corporations and banks were bailed out and working people got a single measly $1,200 check to last 6 months. Remember that? And Black folks, Latinx folks, and Native communities especially were dying at much higher rates. Our federal government simply wasn't caring for people. But what did we see? We saw people caring for each other. That was our source of hope. In the spring, we also saw violent police murders of Black folks, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Tony McDade, and so many others. And from Trump to local police, we saw public officials defend white supremacists. But something else gave me hope this summer. The largest mass protest in American history. In grief and anger against those injustice and murders, we rose up. People sticking up for each other, every race in every state marching together for Black lives. In July, we saw record hurricanes in the Gulf Coast and record-breaking, devastating wildfires in the West in August, all exacerbated by climate change. For the last 40 or 50 years, the nation has allowed billionaires and corporations to loot from working people. Our government has propped up systems that are designed to fail, that are designed to make us all vulnerable and to hurt poor and working class people, Black and brown and indigenous folks. Now, it's no surprise those same systems finally collapsed under the weight of Trump's incompetence and hate. When it's clear that the system doesn't work and people in charge don't care, we must dream big and to try to build a resilient America that cares for all of us. The dream is the first step. That's the first step to make it real. Even if political leaders didn't know, people were clamoring for answers that meet the scale of this year's crisis. As people were disoriented, suffering, and grieving, we needed a new vision about how we could see each other, stand by each other, and walk out of the crisis together towards a common North Star. After conversations with members and allies and rigorous polling, we created a charter that presents what a governing agenda for the nation must entail. Inspired by all the ways working people in this country came together to care for each other, the charter lays out how we can care for each other in this moment and how a government that really represents us can make that happen. There is so much on the line now, less than a month until Election Day, and we've got to defeat Trump. We've got to. So we'll use this charter to engage and mobilize and turn out voters in the last month, and also to lift up the vision for the future. Now, Joe Biden is a doorway, not a destination. I've said that before. In this People's Charter, the People's Charter lays out that destination. And after Election Day, we'll be ready to organize to demand the folks we elect will fight for the nation that cares for us. For the more than 200,000 that have fallen, this is what's required of us so that they may not perish in vain. For future generations, this is our mandate so that they will be proud of us and proud of the choices that we made when it counted most. This is where we're going, and along with everyone here, we are going to fight like hell to get you there. Thank you. Okay, now I'd like to give you a preview of what we came up with. You're going to hear from a few WFP members who are going to read out the People's Charter. If you're on Facebook, you'll see them on video. On Zoom, you'll probably only hear them, but you could watch later. So take it away.
Americans are coming together to care for each other like never before. But our government isn't caring for us. It doesn't even seem to care about us.
3 events have rocked our country: a global pandemic, an economic collapse, and a reckoning with the history of systemic racism against Black people.
Across our country, communities have been caring for one another through these crises. Grocery clerks and farm workers keeping food on our shelves, nurses saving lives while risking their own.
Neighbors delivering supplies to those most vulnerable and sharing what they have with people who need it. And millions of people have taken to the streets in grief and anger to demand an end to police killings and all racial injustice.
Our politicians, again, rush to bail out corporations and billionaires, but they're playing games with unemployment insurance, leaving families to skip meals, go without medication, or fall behind on rent or mortgage payments. They seem to care for billionaires a lot more than they care for working people.
It doesn't have to be this way. We can heal the wounds of the pandemic, the economic depression, and a history of racism. And we can do more. Working people can come together to make a nation that cares for all of us. Here's our vision.
1, care for the wronged. Repair historic harms and end systemic racism. 2, emergency care. Help everyone get and stay well, and support workers, families, and small businesses as long as it takes. 3, a good job for everyone who needs one. Working people can't wait years for jobs to come back. We need millions of jobs now.
Care for each other. Address the deficiencies in how our government cares for us that the pandemic has revealed. Care for the future. Act now to make us all more resilient to challenges we know we have to confront.
The United States of America is the richest country in the history of the world. We can get ourselves out of the messes that we're in. Imagine if the grocery store clerks, the farm workers, the nurses, the teachers, the bus drivers, and all the working people in this country were in charge instead. Imagine how different things would be.
We can get there, and voting is only the first step. Signing the People's Charter means you want to build this future and that you're ready to take action to make it happen. The Working Families Party is a party for the multiracial working class, fighting for a nation that cares for all of us. Join us. Podemos lograrlo. Y votando es solo el primer paso. Firmando los estatutos del pueblo significa que quiere construir este futuro y que está listo para tomar medidas para hacerlo realidad. El Partido de las Familias Trabajadoras es el partido de la clase obrera multirracial, que lucha para una nación que se preocupa por todos nosotros. Únete con nosotros.
Now, that's the People's Charter. It's our North Star. Each of those headings is rich with policy to meet the needs of everyday people right now. Now, you'll hear more in a second from our incredible guest in just a moment, but if you'd like what you're hearing at all, and if you liked what all of our beautiful members just said, join us and sign the People's Charter now. Now, you could sign up at www.peoplescharter.us, or you could just pick up your phone and you could text the word charter to 30403. That's the word charter to 30403. You know, I said earlier, Joe Biden is a doorway, not a destination. But for just a second, let's talk about the destination. Let's talk about liberation. I'm going to introduce 8 current and incoming members of Congress who are among the original signers of the People's Charter. And what I want to hear from each of you, you beautiful, powerful members of Congress, tell us about the destination. Tell us one piece of the policy vision from the People's Charter that drives you. If we achieve this, what does that world look like? So first, I'm going to introduce my sister, Representative Ayanna Pressley.
Hello, family. Hello, Working Families Party. Wow, it is so good to be in virtual community with everyone. You know, this is home right here. This is the community where we hold equal space for righteous rage and radical love. We are the seekers, we are the doers, we are the healers. It is always so fortifying and grounding to be with you. And tonight we're coming together to do a radical thing, to plan and to dream for a more just future. Now, this year, we have pulled each other through unprecedented, challenging times. Our year has been marked by grief and loss and a White House that has failed us time and time again. But together, we have decided to choose hope and strategy in the face of adversity. The People's Charter is a powerful articulation of our shared values and of priorities crafted by the people, by those in closest, acute proximity to the pain. This charter is powerful because we, the people, are powerful. Our communities have been defined by the mutual aid and caretaking that carried us through these unprecedented times and this tsunami of grief, loss, and hurt. From the nurses saving lives to the grocery store workers on the front lines to the letter carriers and the farm workers, we have centered our shared humanity and fought for our collective dignity. And we have taken to the streets in an act of collective caretaking and radical community building. We have demanded an end to police killings and racial injustice. Now, together, through our actions in community and through this platform, we dare to redefine how we codify caretaking and justice in policy. Together, we demand free and universal health care for every resident of this nation. We affirm the critical need for guaranteed universal child care, paid family and medical leave, paid sick days, and income support for parents taking care of kids full time. That's right. It's time that we take care of our caretakers. It's time our caretakers get their due. Caregiving is essential work, and furthermore, our essential workers and all works deserve the rights and protections of a union and safe working conditions and a living wage. It's time to put people before profit. It's time to say out loud that Black disabled lives matter. And that means we center home and community-based services for everyone, including mental health care. That means housing justice and a safe home for everyone. In this democracy, government should work for the people, not the corporations. So how do we keep our economy afloat? We take care of our people. We cancel student loan debt. We provide critical resources as we face an unpredictable world together. Caretaking, in the simplest sense, It is possible to build a world where we care for each other, and the role of government is to serve and to protect us all. Now, we begin that work by evicting the occupant of this White House on November 3rd. And we elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and we affirm a mandate to rebuild a nation that is just and compassionate. Now, our organizing won't stop on November 3rd. Remember, this is the door, not the destination, and we are just getting started.
Thank you so much, Representative Presley. We're right. We're just getting started in America, and we're also just getting started on this live stream. Without any further ado, I'd like to bring up incoming Congressman Mondaire Jones.
My goodness, it is hard to go after Congresswoman Ayanna Presley, but here we are. I'm so inspired to be with so many folks who have given me strength, frankly, over the course of this 1.5 year long campaign that I've been running up in New York's 17th Congressional District, where very few people on the outside looking in thought that a candidate like myself running a progressive campaign could win. But the Working Families Party knew that I could win. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. And I'm so excited to get to work with my brothers and sisters in service on this tonight. We know what's wrong with our political process. We know that billionaires have led a hostile takeover of our government. We know that many of our representatives, in fact, have been bought and paid for by billionaires and corporations. And in the case of the Trump administration, they've cut out the middleman. They've put plutocrats in charge of just about every federal agency, gutting vital public services like the USPS and slashing critical programs like SNAP and Social Security. I don't need to tell you what's wrong, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about that. I'd rather talk about what we can do to fix it. I want you to imagine for a moment a democracy that works, a democracy where every vote counts, where your vote matters in a presidential election because the contest won't come down to a handful of swing states, and where your vote matters in a congressional election because we've ended the scourge of partisan gerrymandering, where you never have to worry about whether your friends or your family are registered to vote because everyone is registered automatically, where you don't have to worry about having your pay docked to head to the polls because Election Day is a national holiday and you don't need to justify exercising your right to vote by mail. I want you to imagine a democracy where teachers and nurses and essential workers who aspire to run for office can mount competitive campaigns even if they don't come from money or from a political family, where every single one of us has 500 democracy dollars to donate to candidates of our choice, where candidates for office go door to door to make their case to us, the people, that they deserve our support rather than being anointed by billionaires and corporate lobbyists. I want you to imagine a democracy where we have faith in the Supreme Court of the United States to protect our fundamental civil rights, where we don't have to live in fear of a 5-4 majority or a 6-3 majority, taking every opportunity to make it harder for people like us to vote, where we don't have to sue the billionaire president and the multi-millionaire postmaster general, like I just did successfully, to protect our right to vote by mail. That is a democracy where we, the people, are in charge, not the billionaires, not the special interests, not the corporations, and it is within our reach. But we won't get there alone. And that's why I'm so glad that WFP has brought us together to fight for a true people's charter. This vision fills me with so much hope, and it's a future worth fighting for. And I know that when we fight together, we win.
Thank you so much, Brother Mondaire Jones. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce California Congressman Representative Ro Khanna. Ro.
Thank you, Maurice. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you to Joe. And what a pleasure and honor to follow Ayanna and Mondaire. Ayanna has just been such a brilliant voice in Congress, a real moral conscience, and I'm so excited about the contributions Mondaire will bring. I appreciate your focusing on what our vision should be. My view and what attracted me to this charter is that it's about equity, equity in an age, a digital age, where you have a place like my district where some people are making unprecedented wealth, and yet so many others are totally excluded. The disparity, even in my district, where you have the huge tech companies having done extraordinarily well, and yet workers, the people who are actually doing the food service and the janitors and the bus drivers, struggling to have enough to have rent, struggling to be able to take care of their kids, struggling, leaving their kids at home because they can't afford childcare. And one of the interesting things is a growing racial wealth gap. Our racial wealth gap over the last 30 years has grown. It hasn't shrunk. And if we don't find a way of having communities be part of the wealth generation of the 21st century, that racial wealth gap is only going to continue to increase. I mean, there's no equity in a lot of the IPOs, a lot of the wealth creation, and totally exclusion of so many communities. So we need a real vision of how we have people who have been left out of so much of the economy to have a stake in it. That is along issues for workers to have a real a living wage, and childcare and affordable housing and access to education. It's for minority communities that have been totally shut out of a lot of the economic prospects. And it is for communities across this country that have been left behind. And I think a lot of the charter speaks to that fundamental desire for equity, that fundamental desire that people want access to mobility, social mobility and dignity that has been missing in our society. So I'm eager to work with all my colleagues and everyone on this call. It's going to take a concerted movement to get that done. And I'm excited to partner with everyone to work on that.
Thank you, Representative Khanna. And next, I'm so grateful to introduce Detroit's Representative Rashida Talib.
Thank you so much, Philip. Thank you so much for my growing, incredible, exciting squad. I got to tell you, I am so incredibly proud of the Working Families Party team for working with my team and making sure that water is a human right, and that is part of the charter. As you all know, in my community, we have seen people cut off with water prior to the pandemic, and watching mothers who could not afford to pay for their water bill get their children taken away from Child Protective Services, money that could be spent to help a mother get out of poverty, to be able to pay for something that is very much about life and living. And so I just want everyone to know that water is a right in this charter. We also are talking about clean air. Again, both of these issues are so critical to my district. And so I can't thank you all enough. There are 15 million Americans across the country prior to this pandemic, it's gotten worse, that are in jeopardy of losing access to water. And I can tell you, it's not just about, washing your hands. It's about human dignity in our country. And so I love that the charter recognizes all the broken systems, again, prior to this pandemic, and understanding we need to create a new normal, not what was before. That wasn't normal. And so I just want to thank all of you so much for that. I cannot wait to transform our country with movement work like this. That's the way I was taught in Detroit, where every corner is a reminder that it doesn't matter who the mayor is. It doesn't matter who the city council, it matters, but you know what I'm talking about. It matters more about what's going on in the streets as we try to transform these systems to work for all of us, not just some of us. So I want to thank you all so much for that. And I can't wait to continue to work with all of you alongside, not only push against poverty, but making sure that water and air is part of that. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Talib. Next up, we have we're going to stay in the Midwest, and we have Representative Chuy Garcia.
Thank you so much. I want to thank the Working Families Party and the United Working Families for inviting me today. Like many of you and my colleagues and all of the warriors on this call tonight, I've heard from my neighbors and community members about the devastating impact of this pandemic. And the reality is that before the pandemic, Brown and Black and Indigenous and immigrant communities have been struggling from generation to generation and paycheck to paycheck to survive. We come together to say, time's up. We need bold and intersectional solutions that bring justice and equity to our communities through the People's Charter, caring for the wrong, each other, and now and for our future. No one in this country should have to decide between paying rent or putting food on the table. Our children and families deserve to live in quality, safe, and affordable housing without the fear that their water will be shut off or that they'll come home to find their belongings on the street because they couldn't afford to pay their bills or rent. From Boyle Heights to Brooklyn and Pilsen here in my district, we must hold developers accountable to ensure that working class families are not priced out, pushed out, or sold out. Let's lift the ban on rent control, extend the national eviction moratorium, and secure rent and mortgage relief for the countless families unsure whether they'll have a roof over their heads. It's about damn time that we recognize that housing is a basic human right, period. It's also time to recognize that we can't address human rights without including our immigrant sisters and brothers. As the first member in Congress from the Midwest, born in Mexico, this is personal to me. What kind of country do we live in when, in the middle of a pandemic, millions of immigrant and mixed status families were intentionally excluded from receiving economic benefit? For the record, immigrants pay $27 billion a year in federal taxes. That's more than Trump can say. I joined the People's Charter calling for a reimagining of the mass criminalization and deportation machines. They've profited from the pain of our communities. Merecemos un sistema migratorio que respeta a los inmigrantes. We need to restore the right to due process for immigrants. We need to end the automatic deportation and mandatory detention. We need to end local coordination with law enforcement. We need to respect women's bodies. Necesitamos mantener unidas a las familias y proteger a DACA y a los millones de familias que viven con miedo. Some think our ideas are radical, but what's really radical is living in the most powerful country day after day, where countless go hungry, lose their homes, and are separated from their families due to an outdated and inhumane immigrant system. I'm proud to stand with each of you, ready to fight to transform our country in every way. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Representative Garcia. All right, well, next up, without any further ado, incoming Congressman from the Boogie Down Bronx, my brother, Jamal Bowman.
Good evening, everyone. Peace and love to you, Maurice. Peace and love to the Working Families Party. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. It's so interesting how to insert love and care into our political arena is considered radical. Well, that's the kind of radical political and economic country I want to be a part of. A country that centers care and a country that centers love. And for me, this is about care for our future. And our future has to center our children, our babies, especially those who are most vulnerable in communities that have been historically ignored and historically neglected. So for me, caring about our future is about universal childcare, making sure our children are nurtured in the best environments possible without breaking the banks of working families who have to go to work to put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. Childcare should be universal, it should be free, it should be nurturing, and it should be exemplary. So it starts there. It then moves on to fully funding our public schools and increasing Title I funding, quadrupling the funding in Title I, so that schools in our historically neglected communities have lower class sizes, all of the resources that they need, science and technology labs, and work in alignment with the demands of a Green New Deal. So we need to fully fund our public schools, particularly in Title I communities. We also need to fully fund IDEA, which is the Individuals with Disabilities Act at a federal level, The federal government is supposed to be providing 40% funding, and it is nowhere near that because we have not centered and cared for our children at the level that we need to, particularly our children with special needs. We need to center them and bring them into the fold and craft policy around the needs of our special needs children. It continues in higher education by providing free public college, free trade schools, and free two-year colleges. America used to invest in its future by providing Pell Grants and additional grants to make higher education free. That is no longer the case because everything is being driven by profit over people. So our colleges need to be made free, particularly for our low-income communities. And finally, we need to cancel student debt to lift millions out of poverty. We were all, many of us were hoodwinked into getting into student debt, and some of us owe $50, $75, $100, $200,000 just to get an education in this country and move up the economic ladder. And then what we've seen is the jobs aren't even available to help us pay back that student debt. So as we think about caring for the future, we have to center our children. And for me, that's very personal because the center of my universe, little Maya, is 6 years old. And 10 years from now, 12 years from now, I want her to have access to higher education. I want her to go to schools that are fully integrated, racially integrated, economically integrated. And I want her to live in integrated communities so that she can learn about other religions, other cultures, other races, other types of people, so that we could finally get over the xenophobia and the hate that continues to be a part of our political process. I'm thinking about my son who's currently 19. 10 years from now, he'll be 29. He may be starting a family. And when he does, I want him to have access to universal childcare. And finally, I want us within the next 10 years to get to net zero carbon emissions through a Green New Deal, so we could show care for our economy and begin to breathe in clean air, swim in clean waters, even in the East River, retrofit our buildings and new infrastructure in alignment with the demands of net zero carbon emissions, so that our children in the Bronx are no longer 3 times more likely to die of asthma because they live in the Bronx, so that our children in Yonkers and Mount Vernon and parts of New Rochelle and other parts of the district that have been neglected have access to jobs, have access to the care economy, have access to resources that will help them rebuild the economy in their own image, so that we are not gentrifying them out of their neighborhood, but we are giving them the resources to build their own neighborhood and rebuild it in a way that they see fit. So thank you so much, Working Families Party, for creating the People's Charter. Thank you for allowing my voice to be a part of it. I can't tell you how fired up I am to be a part of this amazing movement and this squad that continues to grow. And I cannot wait till November 3rd to vote this bum out of the White House, flip the Senate, and make sure the Republican Party does not recover for at least a generation, so that we could build a nation that is beautiful and magnificent and diverse and nuanced, like all of the amazing people on this call. So peace and love to you all. Let's get it done. I love you all. Thank you so much.
Love you back, Jamal. Thank you. And last but not least, we're going to go back to the Midwest for a woman that shocked the world not too long ago. Incoming Congresswoman from St. Louis, Cori Bush.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Working Families Party. I'm so glad and so proud and honored to be a part of this family now. And shout out to my family that's on here, to the squad and the incoming squad. We are already just one team, and everybody working with us. Thank you for supporting us. When I look at the People's Charter, so I want to talk to those who are still trying to figure out if this is my thing or not, or trying to figure out if I want to put my name on something and be public about it. When I took a look at it and I read over it, as I was reading over it, I saw me. So there had to be this connection first of, am I here? is there anything that I need or anything that my family needs or anything that my community needs, anything that my district needs, anything that my pet needs, anything that anybody in my community needs in this charter? And because I saw first me, yes, you have a need. Here, 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 and here. And then not only you, people in your community, people in your family, I knew I had to pay attention to this thing and then sign on. It was a no-brainer. You know, I think sometimes we get so focused on our service. Yes, we are servant leaders and we love our communities and we love our country and we want to do more. We want to save lives, absolutely. But first, you got to save yourself. You know, you got to save yourself and do yourself good so that you can be prepared and be that warrior to help others. So first, connect you to this and find out what is it that you need out of this and your legacy. What is it? You may be good, but what about your children's children? Because that's what you have to think about. And then after that, you know, I am the people I serve. So if I saw myself and then there are people like me who are in this, then now I'm serving them. So then that's the next thing. And so, but when I thought about like, what can I pull out of this that I want to talk about tonight? So one thing that I pulled out of it, you know, I remember so many of us, Kayla that's on this call, and so many of us Ferguson activists, you know, shout out to the Ferguson Frontline and all the activists in St. Louis and around the country. You know, when I thought about it, and you know, when we talk about, people get all bent out of shape when we talk about defunding the police, or some call reallocating dollars and all of, you know, when we talk about that, people get all, you know, they tense up. But let me tell you about what makes you tense. What makes you tense is when, if you've never heard the noise munition happen in front of you, if you've never felt what that does to your body, that'll make you tense up. If you felt a rubber bullet, that'll make you tense up. If you've been anywhere near tear gas and you felt the effects of that, not only on your skin, but in your lungs, that will make you tense up. So instead of worrying about how we're trying to fix the problem, fix the real problem, which is police are killing Black and brown people with impunity in this country and doing it disproportionately. And we're tired of it and we say no more. But part of that, the other part of that is we don't need money for bear spray that's going to burn my skin for 22 hours. We don't need $130,000 to $300,000 going to MRAPs. And we don't need money going to the rubber bullets and the tear gas and stockpiling SWAT gear. We don't need that in our communities. What we need is violence prevention programs that actually address what's happening in our communities. When in St. Louis, in 1 month, we saw 53 murders, you know, in just 1 month in one part of our district. What we need is job training. We need better job training. We need money for counseling. We need money for addiction services. We need money for COVID-19 testing. We need money for mental health services and better job training. That's what we need money for now. So when you talk about that we need more police, no, what we need is more resources. And so I am one that will be pushing along with the people on this call and all of you that are listening to make sure that we bring what we really need to our communities. That's quality and quality care. Thank you.
Woo, well, I see why you shocked the world. Thank you, Representative Cori Bush, incoming Representative Cori Bush. Now, that was incredible. I don't know about you, but that was incredible. And everybody who just spoke painted a vision for a different world. This is why we fight. And I've never been this inspired. Real talk, have never been this inspired listening to elected officials. This is a Working Families Party conversation. This is what makes it different between the other folks, right? So I want everybody to understand that vision is going to take a lot of work, both the work that we do between now and Election Day and all the organizing that we do in order to make that vision real. So if you're down, you need to sign the People's Charter. Go to peoplescharter.us or text the word charter to 30403. Now, the first step is that we win this election in November. You heard Jamal say we need to kick that bum out of the White House, right? So let's do that. And then we're gonna plug you in to the work that can happen right now in order to make that happen. We are phone banking right now. We are text banking right now. So when you text charter to 30403, we're gonna plug you into that work. And we'll plug you into work in battleground states like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania so that we can get the job done. Now, once we do that, then we could go on the offensive and win the People's Charter in Congress and state houses and in localities all across the country. But first, I have one more question. And Sister Ayanna, let me see if you could ask, if I could ask you to speak on this question. Here's my question for you. How are we going to build a strong enough movement to win this vision?
Okay, I want to answer your question. I got to do two things before I do that. First, I'm emotional. I know y'all thought this was just about the People's Charter. You didn't know you were coming to a revival. This was a revival, okay? I feel so fortified, so strengthened, so anchored, so moored. If y'all don't know the story about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, he was not supposed to deliver that speech. They spoke behind him and they said, tell him about the dream, Martin. He had a prepared text and he defaulted to a stump that he had given before. Tonight, we told people about the dream. We are radical dreamers. But like I said at the beginning of this, right? We are seekers, we are doers, and we are healers. And I am so fortified. I feel so emboldened in this movement and this work because it is within our reach. And then one other thing I gotta say, there are so few organizations headed up by a Black man. We need to just hold space for this brother right here, Maurice. We appreciate you. Thank you for laboring in love. Thank you for giving a damn. Just thank you. All right, so now what we gonna do? Now, I brought Dr. King into this, and I'm gonna share my little math that I like to share. Okay, so the Birmingham movement was 37 days. The Freedom Rise was 7 months. The Greensboro sit-ins were 6 months. The Montgomery bus boycott was 382 days. We got 26 days. We are right now writing the next chapter in our civil rights history, right now. And so we have 26 days to evict this occupant, to win this election, and it is absolutely central and critical to what we want to accomplish together, the world that we want to build, this beautiful vision that was articulated that is possible. So again, Biden and Harris are not the door, they are the destination, but they are partners who will come to the table, and the onus is gonna be on us to stay organized, to stay focused, to stay dedicated to the policies and the people that we center. So I need folks to leave it all on the field in the next 26 days. Dig deep, mobilize your community to vote. And I need all of you to join this Working Families Party. So we have the infrastructure and the momentum. Who don't want to join this? We lit. You need to join this movement, be a part of this infrastructure and this momentum to press for these critical policy changes. To officially join, you just need to text member to 304-03. Now, policy is my love language, y'all. And our destination is a more just and equitable world defined by bold, progressive policies that meet the moment and recognize the humanity and the dignity of all working people. Let's go.
I feel a stirring in my heart. I don't know about anybody else on this live stream or on this Zoom, but I feel a stirring in my heart. Thank you, Sister Ayana. Thank you, Corey, Jamal, Chuy, Rashida, Ro, Mandir, all of you. You represent the very best of us. And you know, what you're building is a different type of relationship to movement where we co-govern together, inside and outside, struggling together in order to liberate our communities. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is the moment to be building that movement that Ayana spoke about. And I am so humble that you've invested your faith in this movement. Now, I know many of you have heard from a lot of people, but I need to keep on introducing some more folks. There's 3 other people that I want to introduce from our grassroots, some of the most talented organizers I know who are building the movements around America that are going to not just end Trump's presidency, but build the movement for change. These are tireless warriors, people I love, my comrades, people I trust with my life, people who have changed the world multiple times. So let me introduce first somebody also from the Midwest, my sister, who I've been in struggle with since 2014 on the protest lines in Ferguson, Kayla Reed, a leader of the Movement for Black Lives Electoral Justice Project. Kayla.
Listen, I don't know how much more I need to add, but I will be sprinkles on top of this 7-layer sundae of Black excellence. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Kayla Reed. I bring you greetings from Cori Bush's district here in St. Louis. and I'm the Executive Director of Action St. Louis and a leader in the movement for Black Lives. The People's Charter sets a clear vision for our communities, what we need and what we deserve. Since 2014, the movement for Black Lives has set forth to build power in our communities. Black people have suffered this year. Our communities have been devastated by this pandemic, continually plagued by police violence, and denied the resources that we truly need to thrive. Our movement has grown so much, from the Ferguson uprising in 2014 to the 50-state uprising that took place over the summer. We are in relentless pursuit for our liberation. The People's Charter does not shy away from the need to address white supremacy and racialized violence head on. At M4BL, this is our work, and we are fighting to lift up a clear demand that we must divest and then defund from these violent systems. The BREATHE Act is a policy of the Movement for Black Lives that speaks directly to the People's Charter's demand that we care for the wrong by dismantling these systems and investing in our communities, investing in care, investing in people. That's what we need. That's what we are going to get. Our people are in the streets. Our people are already voting. We know November is about conditions, not candidates. It is a door, not the destination. Our fight for racial justice, economic justice, climate justice, gender justice is a righteous fight. Our work and our movement is so deeply aligned with the Working Families Party and this People's Charter. I'm so grateful to be a part of this conversation and just listen to the brilliance. I believe so deeply. I know for a fact that we will win because of the people who are stepping into this and who are signing on to this charter. Thank you so much, Mo. Thank you so much, Working Families Party. We love y'all.
Thank you. I love you back, my sister in struggle, Kayla Reed from St. Louis. Now I'd like to introduce Bree Carlson from the Mighty People's Organization, People's Action. Bree.
And I was saying the most brilliant things. I'm so sorry. It is such an amazing group of people speaking here tonight. And I want to say on behalf of People's Action that we are so proud to be a part of the Working Families Party and so proud to sign on to the People's Charter. People's Action is a group of organizations across the country with everyday people fighting for all of the issues that are named in this charter. And we're fighting from farms, we're fighting from cities, and we need this North Star. It is so important for the members who make up our organization to be able to see that it's time to stop tinkering around the edges of the problems we face. Our communities are in crisis. It's not a new crisis, but the pandemic has exposed the depth of it for everyone. And there is no solution in tinkering. There is no solution in incremental change. What we need is to transform our society. We need to transform our democracy. We need an economy that values people, our well-being, our safety over the interests of corporations. We need leaders who will fight for our people, who will do what it takes to win real change. And we know that standing together side by side with the Working Families Party, this charter is going to get us there.
Thank you so much, Bree. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce Natalia Salgado from CPD Action. Natalia.
Thank you, Mo. Thank you so much. As the daughter of immigrants and an immigrant myself, I know what the pursuit of the American dream looks like. And I also know all of the barriers that this country puts in our face in pursuit of that dream. I love seeing this charter because it's the roadmap that leads to the real American dream. An American dream that is based on justice, on equality across the board. And it doesn't discriminate against the color of your skin. I know that when my family first came to this country, people, dismissed us because of the color of our skin. And finally, there is a roadmap that will be able to give us the steps to move forward. And to all our Latinos out there who are being misinformed and don't know what they're going to do for this election, come home. Come home to the WFP. We have a vision for you to follow. We know how we can move this country forward. We know what needs to be done, not just on November 3rd, We know what needs to be done years after November 3rd. We know what needs to be done the day after November 3rd. That is not the destination. It is just the start. So I need all of my Latino brothers and sisters to come on in, be part of the charter, be part of this reimagining of the American dream.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Thank you so much for that. This is, you're right. Ayanna, you're right. This has been a revival for the multiracial working class alignment that's going to transform this country. Okay, everyone, this is the vision. This is the movement. You are the people, and this is the time. We have just one more incredible speaker tonight, an incredible speaker. Her name is Kendra Brooks, and she made history in Philadelphia, elected as a member of the Working Families Party to the Philadelphia City Council. Kendra is going to tell us how to take that first step to make this dream into a reality, and that's winning in November. Kendra, take it away.
Thank you, Mo. I am so excited to be with family. This just enlightened my day. I needed all of this right here. So thank you, family. So I live in Philadelphia, right? Where we've already seen a rise in homelessness since the pandemic, where too many people are facing housing instability, facing evictions, where our communities are being criminalized. And it's so clear why we need a real people's charter. And while our work is long-term, it is also right now. My city is at a breaking point. Our country is at a breaking point. And we can't win long-term power for working people if we continue to let the racist rapists in the White House make the rules. Last week, Donald Trump came for Philadelphia in the debate. And let me tell you something, Philadelphia is coming right back at him. Our organizers in our state, just like in other swing states across this country, are working day and night to make sure that we win and win big. In Philadelphia, early voting has already started. Thousands of people are casting their votes every day. And we need you now. This last month is all hands on deck. Because guess what? Our democracy is on the line. Mm-hmm. So you can sign up in the chat. You can sign the charter, and you can text charter to 30403. And you'll get plugged into right away to get out the vote efforts. This moment right here matters. And I am hopeful because over the past 4 years, we have built a powerful movement. And it's a movement that made history last November to elect me and kick Republicans out of City Hall here in Philadelphia. And now we're going to rebuild our country for all of us. So remember, again, text charter to 30403 to sign up in the chat to get involved. Thank you so much, family.
Family, thank you. That is the mighty Kendra Brooks, the independent Working Families Party City Council member making history, the first independent City Council member in Philly history, transforming the organizing that's taking place in that city. Now, I am so honored to be in this fight with you, with all of you, with folks like Kendra and Kayla and Ayanna and Jamal and Bree and Natalia and Corey and everybody who's listening on the live stream. Now look, we got 26 days ahead of us. Now, whatever you were thinking about in terms of what you wanted to give of yourself to stand in the gap for all of our people, if that was time, if that was money, if that was a phone bank, if that was a text bank, whatever you're going to give, we're demanding that we give a little bit more. This fight will transform the trajectory of our lives and the lives of all of our family members so that we can make this charter real. So we need to bring it home over these next 26 days and then build on that pathway towards that destination. I'm sending so much love to all my WFP family watching tonight. Thank you. And Ayanna, you said it was a revival, and it's only right that we end in song. So Nalini, can you please close us out with a little music?
I don't think this is a WFP party. if it wasn't for the music. And so I'm gonna close this out because this is what we're gonna do. This is a song that comes from the tenants' rights movement organizing in Philadelphia and the workers' rights movement that we sing in the Resistance Revival Chorus. And so, I went down to the White House and I took back what it stole from me, took it back. Ooh, took it back. Well, we went down to the White House with our People's Charter and we took back what they stole. Ooh, took it back. And it's under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. Oh, it's under my feet, and it's under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Saludos y todos. Gracias.
Thank you so much. And for folks in New York, make sure to vote WFP on the WFP line. Everybody text charter to 30403. Thank you. God bless. All power to the people.
Thank you, Billy.
Gracias.
Thank you, Billy.
For interpretation.
Thank you. Thank you, y'all. Let's get it done. 26 more days.
Wu-Tang.